Hello and welcome to our show, The Awakening, here on WGSN-DB, the Going Solo and Going Bold Network. The information and opinions expressed on this show are just that, the opinions of the individual speaking based on that individual's experiences. And they are not designed to constitute my announcer had wrote this out and I hadn't read through it. Constitute, complete, and professional advice or recommendations. So we are just talking to you. So this is our advice, this is our opinions, and they don't constitute getting or hiring a divorce coach or other professional in your field. So my name is Tina Huggins. I'm your divorce coach specialist and restorative family mediator. This is Joe Huggins, and our guest speaker tonight is Marcin Lapczynski. He is CDC motivational speaker and founder of Awakening Coaching. Way to go, Awakening. And Marcin is a certified divorce coach like myself. We're both certified from the same school, which is way cool. He also is certified in transition and recovery, or is a transition and recovery coach. And some of what you'll get to hear Marcin talk about tonight is that area of what he does. So tonight's show is the divorce coach's guidance out of the abuse. So we're talking about what a divorce coach is, what we do, and how we can help guide you through your divorce process and out of the abuse into a better, happier life. So now that I've done all my talking, Marcin, so tell me, why did you get into divorce coaching?
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Joe, for having me on. I really do appreciate you for such an amazing platform that, that you give me your platform to be able to share my story, share my voice, to help inspire, empower, many individuals, especially single parents, divorced parents that, are contemplating, are going, or are post-divorce. So how and why did I get through? So Tina, my journey began when I came from Poland to United States with my parents, my family at the age of 12 and so on. And it was really hard to get acclimated because I did not know how to speak English language or anything. So I went to elementary school, got high school, and I always had a passion to go to school for electronics. I love to troubleshoot and just repair, printed circuit boards, washer, dryer, refrigerators, and all those different things. I love to play with electricity and just fix things. So I was one of the three brothers. I was very fortunate to go to college, graduate with a degree in electronic engineering field. And so on. As I started my journey, I started working full-time job. At the age of 18, I met a girlfriend, which I always wanted to be. And my girlfriend turned into my wife. We dated for 3 years, got married. And as we got married, we enjoyed our life. We had good careers. We traveled, we did things. And later on, we decided to have a family. So in 2010, my son Aiden was born. And then later on in 2014, my daughter was born. And so on. And our first home that we had, we outgrew it. So we purchased a larger home. And as we became parents, the responsibilities have changed where, we work both. We had full-time jobs. And I would come home first, take care of the children, outside activities, home activities, school work, and just so on. And, it's just life kept going on and we kept doing the same thing over and over. So we were together for 15 years, married for 12 years. And in 2019, in December, we decided to separate for 3 months because our marriage was just not working out. It felt like two strangers living under one roof. And so what happened is I moved out to my parents' house for 3 weeks. It was Christmas. It was New Year's. I had my kids with me for those 3 weeks. And so on. And after 3 weeks, I was going back home. It was Sunday evening when I got home, got into the garage, entered the house, and it was pretty dark. My wife wasn't home. She went grocery shopping when we got home. Kids were very happy, come back home because for 3 weeks they didn't sleep in their own beds. They just, they didn't have their toys and things like that. I was happy as well. I missed my wife. I missed sleeping in my own bed and I missed our home. So when she got home, I helped her unpack the groceries. We're kitchen, standing at the countertop, and we're just talking, unpacking. And it got to the point where I'm like, excuse me, where, hey, I'm moving in. It's been 3 weeks and so on. And she's like, no, you're not. I'm like, what do you mean? It's been 3 weeks. We talked about it that, hey, we'll take some time apart. We'll see, get some space, and then we'll just resume and just get better and so on. So she told me no. I'm like, hey, why I cannot move back in? I'm paying for mortgage, I'm paying for bills, I'm doing all those things around the house. And she just made up her mind that no. And I knew that something was wrong, that I could read the energy. She didn't look me into the eyes, she looked me downward and so on. And she called police, like out of nowhere. Sheriff comes up, to the front door, and they ask what's the issue. So they took me separately, they took her separately, and they want to hear what's the issue, what's this story. So basically, the officer said that hey, well, your wife says that she does not feel safe around you. I'm like, I haven't even touched her, we just talked and so on. So it got to the point where the police officer said, one of you's got to leave the house. And back then I didn't know why. But you know what? I was just so emotionally overwhelmed. I was so stressed out that, I'm like, because when I came back from my parents' house, I had my luggage that was unpacked. So I left it in the living room, by the main doors. And the hardest part was, when I was saying goodbyes to my children. I believe my daughter was 3 years old. My son was 7. And, I remember, I have this vivid image when I was kneeling in my kitchen because she's like, say goodbyes to your daddy. So I was kneeling on my one knee. I got down to my level of my daughter, and she came by. She gave me this big bear hug, and she's like, "Daddy, don't leave. Daddy, don't leave." And for me, it was like so hard not to just break down. It was so hard. And then later on, my son, came out of his room, and he didn't know what was going on. And she's like, "Hey, tell your daddy goodbye." And he didn't know what's going on, so he gave me another hug from the side, big bear hug. And at that moment, once that both kids were hugging me, they were both just crying, and I felt like a statue. Like I couldn't even move, I couldn't even breathe. Like I felt, like I always share this, that it felt like someone would stab you, like a best friend would took a big kitchen knife and just stab you in your spine, in your back, and you cannot even move, you cannot even breathe. Like you don't know what's happening. Like you're just out of it, right? The body's there, but your spirit just left the body. And it happens like for a couple seconds, and then like I woke up. I don't know if I was in shock, what I was going through. And at that moment, when I stood up and I said my goodbyes, now when I was walking out, you know what? I felt like a stranger. I felt like a failure. I had no place to go. Like, thank God that, I had my parents here, because otherwise, who knows if I would end up homeless, or who knows if I would be speaking to you today, because of the suicidal thoughts, because of the emotional overwhelm, stress, depression, anxiety. It was insane. So that's what happened. And answering your question is, how did I get into coaching? Is I went through this whole journey, and what really helped me, because I was the first one in my family to go through a divorce. There was no one that I can ask, hey, what would this process look like? Who do I got to ask for help? All I knew is, hey, ask for a divorce attorney. That's it. So that's what I did. I had to take time off, go and ask different attorneys, hey, what will the process look like, and all those different things. So I go to one, I go to second one, and the third attorney asked me, hey, did she file? I'm like, I don't know. They went to their computer, they checked and said, hey, she didn't file. Excuse me. But I have some bad news for you. I'm like, what is it? Well, she put a restraining order against you. I didn't even know back then what that is, because I never got in the law. I never got arrested or nothing. So she's like, hey, for 21 days, you cannot call your kids, email and text them. You cannot go by the house, by the school, nothing. So that was another, like, a blow to me, where it just like, oh my God, it just like, I see my kids every single day, and now I have zero contact with them at all. And later on, I see my wife with my best friend. They're changing their door locks. They're doing all those different things. And I'm like, I need clothes for work. So I had to call police escort. They had to come by the house. They had to let me in. Thank God she wasn't in there, where I had to go and take my clothes. It just never in my life I thought that I would go through such a thing. And the whole journey, I lost my family. I lost myself. I lost my self-identity, my kids, my home. And I hit the rock bottom. Like I was at that state where I was angry at God, at myself. Like, why did this happen to me? Like, we had this all, right? It just cars, homes, vacations, like we can afford anything. And how many sleepless nights I had, right? How many times I cried myself to sleep. And, I had bad thoughts, but, what really stopped me is I'm very grateful to my daughter, because her voice got stuck in my mind, where she told me, Daddy, don't leave. Daddy, don't leave. And I'm like, if I do something, how would that feel, like for my daughter to go to sleep every single night and for her to cry to herself, cry herself to sleep because her daddy's not there. And that like gave me that strength, the courage to push me through it, because I was so angry, so upset. Like, I hated my ex. I just had stomach knots. It was just like, why did you do it? Because especially the whole transition, driving kids, picking them up, driving them back, kids are crying, daddy, don't go, come with us, don't want to leave. It just, after you drop your kids off, you're leaving, you're bawling like a little kid. It just, what we go through, I never went through so much emotional stress or overwhelm when I had to go to work because I got to pay child support, I got to pay childcare, pay my bills and things like that. I couldn't even afford mortgage or rent. I had to move into my parents' house, and that was just so much anger. Like, I was such a negative person. I beat myself. I blame myself. I had such a negative, nasty talk with myself. I was emotionally self-destructing, and I didn't know how to get out of this loop. I was just stuck. I didn't know how to stop this voice inside of me. Like I didn't know what to do with myself. So then I asked myself, like, how do I get through this? What do I do? Where do I even begin? Because you know what? I was too ashamed. I was too afraid to ask people for help, because I didn't want no one to know that, hey, I was going through a divorce. It sucked, right? Because such a powerful couple, such a successful couple, they have this beautiful family. They're showing this, they're showing that, but they have divorced. So it was such an embarrassment to me that I was a failure, right? That's what I was telling myself. And so on, I had to walk out of my parents' house. I had to go take walks around the park because I just couldn't do it. It was just super hard. So then I started Googling online, like, how do I go through a divorce? So, I picked up this book by Lewis Hayes, The Powers Within You. That book have helped me a lot. I started listening to a lot of YouTube videos, like, hey, motivational videos, positive videos, and so on. So when I was driving to work, from work, that's what I would listen. So that gave me a little bit glimpse of a hope. And then later on, I keep hearing you gotta have goals, this and then. So I looked at myself like, okay, what are some of the goals that I want for myself? I'm like, well, I don't know who I am. I am ashamed. I don't even want to talk to anybody, because always going to be what other people will think about me, what they say about me, and so on. So, everyone says, hey, invest in yourself, right? In self-development, growth, and things like this. So I'm like, I got to get better at speaking, and so on. So I came across Mr. Les Brown, and through him, I learned the power of the storytelling. And I saw how many people out there, because they were across from the whole United States and other parts of the world, that were sharing their stories. And later on, it dawned on me like, wow, my little divorce story, what I was going through, it's nothing compared to other individuals' story. And I'm like, wow, it is so compelling, like so powerful to hear other people's individuals, like how are able to rebuild themselves, just who they are today after they lost everything. And I'm like, wow, why it cannot be me, right? Why cannot be me to be like they are, so successful now that they're helping other people? And then through him, I met a mindset coach, a self-development coach. And back then, Tina, no one really taught me that there are coaches, that there are mentors back there, right? Because I would work, come home, cook, clean, all those different things, right? I did not know what's going on the outside world. And, after starting hanging out with different coaches, different mentors, listening to those positive videos, then I'm like, okay, let me check this out. Because to me I kept doing the same thing over and over, and I was expecting different results. I would make whatever I would make, pay my bills, pay my child support, and I'm broke. My friends are going out, they're having fun, they're driving nice cars, having nice homes. And here I am, this loser, right? Living at my parents' house. I couldn't afford. I'm like, I was super angry. I didn't, I wanted to be like them, but procrastination, fear, self-doubt, and the opinion of others, they were just stopping me. So I didn't know how to, get myself to the next level. So, when the opportunity came, I met with the consultant of the coach that Les Brown worked. So I'm like, let me check this out. I had around 45-minute consultation, and she's like, hey, the 6-month program will cost this amount, couple $1,000s. And basically, you know what? After we split all of our assets, savings, and things like that, after we paid all of our attorneys, I had a couple $1,000s left. So basically, what I have left, it was for this coaching program. And to me, I never spent $5,000-6,000 on self-development and growth. Are you crazy? It would just never in my life I would invest that much money in myself. But I'm like, you know what? It just, I lost it all. I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? So I'm like, you know what? That fear was stopping me. I didn't want to do it because, hey, what if it doesn't work out? What if this? What if that? But I'm like, if I want to change something, I got to start doing some things differently. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I went all in. I invested all my chips in myself. And you know what, Tina, that was one of the best decisions that I have done in myself, because what that coach did really for me is he extracted the gifts, the talents, the potential that I didn't even know that I have within me. Like, wow, we are really that powerful. Wow, I can have this. I can become this person. And I have, applied the tools, the principle that the coach has taught us through other things. Hey, develop morning routine, evening routine, change my mindsets, change my thinking, all those different things I have learned, right, about energies, about laws, books, all those different things. And I'm like, wow, this is so powerful. So, every day I would, do that work on myself, started implementing, and I started seeing results. And then afterwards, I started dating this girl, and she's like, why don't you look, now that you see, this big change within yourself, you were able to heal yourself, rebuild, rediscover yourself. Why don't you now help the others? And, I read this book called Thinking and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill said, hey, if there's a problem in our communities, in our society, why not, find a solution? So I'm like, there's so many men, so many women that are going exactly the same footsteps, same situation than I am. Some of them are even in wars. And I'm like, wow, that makes sense. So I started looking for like a divorce coach and so on. And that's how I came across CDC coaching. And I invested a couple more $1,000s in that program, 90-day program. I got my certification, phenomenal program. I recommend to someone who wants to learn skill sets, who wants to help other individuals. And you know what? This is how it all came about, where, that one person, I made that decision, and that really one person helped me turn my life around, show me the possibility, help me rediscover what is my why, what is my purpose, what are some of my goals. And now I know where I'm going. I know what I want. I know who I want to help. Who do I want to surround myself? And I'm like, my goodness, why not share the gifts, the talents, the potential that I have within me with other men and women? And as I started coaching people for free in the beginning, I saw how much brokenness there is, especially men and women, and how they are stuck in the same loop where basically we keep repeating the same generational curses over and over. We go through divorce, we enter, next new relationship, and here we go again. We're stuck. And I understood like what really triggers us, how we are programmed, how we run on the same program over and over, and how we have the same result. And it just blew me away. And that's why, I continually study, read books, invest in myself in coaches. And, it just like, we are helping save lives. How many men commit suicide because they are just unable to, do it all their own? So that's how I got into it.
Very awesome. So there's a lot of parts of your story that are very similar to Joe's story. So why don't you kind of touch base with what was similar?
So it seems like my divorce was like strung out longer. I was married 26 years. There was discomfort in that marriage, and I wouldn't even call it a marriage, probably from the get-go. And I'm not even sure why I really got married. Besides, I could just say I felt like my biological clock was running out. We did have some good times at the beginning, but looking back on it, I kept thinking with the red flags that it'll get better. It'll get better. The red flags got bigger and more often. And then we had, when I got married, I had adopted a child, one of hers. And he's a great young man. He's 31 years old now. And I'm glad to be part of his life. And then we had 5 other children. So we had a lot of kids, a lot of things going on. We had 2 businesses that we were working, doing, creating, and that kind of stuff. So there was a lot going on, a lot of busy, and it was just a lot of torture with a lot of things.
Some of the parts that really resonated, that when he was talking, when Marcin was telling his story, is that he wanted to commit suicide. He had suicidal thoughts.
Right.
You had those same thoughts, but he had his going through the divorce. You had yours in the marriage.
Right. From the get-go. I felt like I was pulled up by the roots, and then she stomped on them and said, now survive. That's the abuse I went through. So yeah, it's just
So yeah, and then
a lot of that.
And so Marcin's story, the parts that when he was going through his divorce, because he didn't want the divorce. So he went through the same stuff that you did in your marriage because you wanted out.
I wanted out. It's almost like an oxymoron. I wanted out, but I was committed with my kids. That's a big thing with kids, as you know. So, and I didn't want her brainwashing the kids. So I made the best of it. I stayed in it till the kids, the youngest ones were 16, 17, right in there. And the cops were getting called on me multiple times, as I heard your story, that the police showed up. And the police showed up 3 different times for me at my house. Well, there goes a lot of your reputation in the neighborhood. And then you don't know if you're going to be arrested or not, because, you know, my ex, she said that I was abusing her, and she had like some kind of scrape on the arm and that kind of stuff. And none of the police officers believed her, thank God. And they always came in pairs. So that's 6 officers, and it only takes one to really want to arrest you, and you're gone. And thank God that never happened. They would just say, I can't tell you to leave, but I'd recommend you getting out. And on the very last one, I did get out. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities, and you do hit rock bottom, and there is a saying, once you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go for us survivors, and that's up. Yeah. And that's the choice I took, is definitely up. When I started going through the divorce thing, I did stuff for myself, because you got to take care of yourself, number one. And so I joined 2 memberships of health clubs, and I met great people. They were healthy minded. So it really beats going hanging out in the bar where they're not normally healthy minded, and you're drinking alcohol that costs a lot of money, and alcohol is normally depressive. So I chose the healthy way, and I changed my diet. I ate better, way more exercising, getting out, getting connected with people. So that's the recommendation I'd give, viewers. And also, definitely, I learned by hard knocks. I thought I could just, I'm going to say, roll the dice, go in, pick out a lawyer. And I did, I'm a man of faith. So I did sit in my truck at the lawyer's office before I went in, and I did pray. I don't know, maybe God didn't answer my prayer. I don't know that part yet, but it felt like he really didn't, because I was with that lawyer for years, chasing that infamous carrot.
7 years.
7
years from filing to divorce.
It was torture. I didn't know what to compare a good lawyer with to a bad lawyer. But looking back, it's so obvious to look back and go, well, I mean, looking back on your marriage, there's red flags. Looking back on the lawyer that you picked on your own by rolling the dice, lots of red flags. So definitely for the viewers out there, I'd highly recommend getting a coach, because they have their people that they go to that they can trust. And it takes a lot of the gambling, probably all the gambling, out of it. And you can confide in your coach. And so I learned the hard way.
Yeah. And so that kind of transitions into our next little part of this talk, Marcin, is, so you became a divorce coach. You told us how you became a divorce coach, and you focus more on the transition and recovery side of coaching, where I focus on the whole big picture with my clients, and I focus my work towards those that have been in an abusive relationship. And I focus my work towards men, but the majority of my clients are women. Yeah. So tell us, Marcin, what about your work is a little bit different?
Thank you, Tina. So with me, so when I started it, I help my clients throughout the whole journey as well. Hey, when client is contemplating, we'll sit down, we'll talk about it, pre, during, and after as well. But, really when I ask myself is, where are my strengths? And I look back on my journey, it's the post-divorce where I heal, rediscover, and rebuild myself, because we work together on your mindset, right? How? Because many times, our school system, education, they don't teach us those things, right? And we're stuck in the same loop. So we just, okay, how do I even rediscover who I am as a person, right? Hey, what makes me happy? What do I want? Where am I going? Okay, so now we're gonna look at all those different things. We're gonna look at childhood trauma, right? I love doing the inner work with rediscovering who am I, because this is all of it is an inside job that we have within us, right? And in the beginning too, I'm like, I'm going to help men. But the thing is, with us men, the society teaches us, to be strong, to be tough, not to shed a tear. And you know what? Hey, we're going to do it. I don't need a therapist. I don't need a coach. I don't need none of that stuff. But you know what? Later on, they're getting sick. They're getting emotionally, self-destructing, because they just don't know how to help themselves. And then later on, throughout the whole journey, it's all word of mouth for me, where clients see the results. So they're just referring, because as we know, in United States, divorces are a pandemic. Every 39 seconds, someone's getting divorced. 48% first marriages is a divorce ratio. Second marriages, it's 80%. So statistics show you that, it's just most of the individuals that do not work with any therapist or a coach, then they're going to end up in the same situation as they were, and they wonder why. Well, you haven't changed. You haven't done any work on yourself, right? Obviously, there's more to it. I'm just going over surface level. But, the clients, like I said, are females, most of them, because ladies, I give them a lot of credit, and especially a lot of single moms that are emotionally struggling, that are financially struggling. They have to work full-time jobs. They have to take care of the children. They're exhausted. They are tired. And some of them, they don't have any help at all.
Yes, yes. And so I remember back when I was going through that, I didn't have a coach either. And so I so wished that I had asked for help, but I was divorced over 20 years ago, 21 years ago. And so back then there was no such thing as divorce coaches. And I can tell you that had I had a divorce coach, it would not have taken me 15 years to get on my feet. So one of the things I want to touch base for our viewers is that you and I were trained in the same school. We have the same exact credentials. So we've both gone through the divorce coaching program, the recovery and transition program. So we have all three of those certificates as we start working with ours. You, of course, focus towards the end, where really, I guess I focus towards the beginning. I like it when people come to me and I can help them with that exit plan to get out of this abuse. And so that for me is something huge and important for me, because of where I was at in my marriage. And I wish that I had talked to my friends and family. I wish people knew what I was experiencing at home. Because then I think things would have been, one, different at home, but definitely the exit would have been more graceful, because I did not exit very gracefully at all. And so with Joe, he had a good exit, but had he had a divorce coach, he would have worked really great with you in the transition or the recovery end of things, but he needed a divorce coach before he made his decision to exit. That would have saved him probably at least $100,000.
I was thinking 200,000.
Yeah, at least 100,000.
Right, maybe 200,000, because a lot of the loss, there is just tons of loss. Just looking back, I learned the hard way. So
yeah, he got the wrong lawyer for his situation. So after I got trained, so his divorce was why I started looking for, there's got to be a better way. And so we're going to give a shout out to Susan Bernstein here, because I was calling around talking, and I talked to 3 divorce coaches, but I remember Susan Bernstein. She was very helpful in the fact that she really couldn't help me because I wasn't the one getting a divorce, but she was going and willing to work with Joe, but he wouldn't see a divorce coach because he didn't see the need for a divorce coach. Now that he's here, and we'll let you kind of tell that part real quick, because I know you have a slug of notes here.
Okay, so stress is a big factor. If you try to do it on your own, how do you know what to do? So you're just out in no man's land. So way too much stress. And what I did learn too is there's a right lawyer for you. And here I'm just gonna say rolling the dice. And what's funny is when I first started the divorce, someone gave me a card of a divorce coach, a physical card, and I blew it off. I don't need this. The lawyer's going to cost me enough. Well, if you get the wrong lawyer, it's going to cost you way more than it's going to save you money if you get the right people behind you. Get a coach, get the right lawyer. Takes a lot off your brain. I put better results through a divorce coach, which I just explained. And, there's some lawyers for high conflict and some that, just good at different things depending on what your needs are. So I was emotionally spent. I was financially spent. You can't make good decisions when you're under that kind of stress. So usually things plummet, get worse, and it was very stressful.
Yeah.
So
No,
go ahead, Marcin.
No, it's, what, to me, when I do speak to, individuals that are going through divorce that need support, it's like building a foundation. Or let's say, hey, you travel to China and you don't know their language, and how will you navigate? How will you get through, right? But for us, is we have the experience, we have the knowledge, we have the tools. So we are your sounding board, we are your thinking partners, where we sit down, where you don't have to do this alone, that you are not by yourself. You are hiring an expert, right? It's just like you're not going to go buy a house by yourself. You're not going to do all the paperwork, right? Let us do the work. Let us ask the right question so we can guide you, so you can have the best decision for yourself, for your family, for your children, and live the best life, right? Because like I said, a lot of people, are maybe a little bit close-minded, where they think short, where, okay, hey, I'm not going to invest, right? Okay, it's okay, right? Maybe some don't have finances. I help people that don't have finances. But you know what? It's just like, if you're going to make, like what you said, Joe, if you're going to make decisions based on your emotions, you're going to spend thousands of dollars on attorneys. And you will get in, I see this. I'm speaking from my experience. How many clients are in credit card debt? It's sickening. It's sickening. I had a client I worked with from New Jersey. In 2 years, he spent $500,000 because they were just going back and forth. It's sickening how people are emotionally, financially destroyed. Also, too, is we through our guidance, right? We help you choose the right attorney as well, right? We'll guide you. We'll question to us, because for every minute you are getting billed by the attorney. Now, with us too, the way I look at it, it's just like I always look at, like, if I'm going through a journey, like, who do I have this Marcin guy? If he's going right now through a divorce, who do I got to surround him with? So what can I build? So I'm like, okay, if you have a one-stop shop where you come and says, hey, Marcin, I'm going through a divorce. Okay, so here I open up my book, my menu, and I say, hey, Joe, I got divorce attorneys, I got financial advisors, I have therapists, I have nutritionists, I have realtors, I have stylists. What do you need? I got for you. Joe, you don't have to take time off from work. You know what? Here is all your information. I did all my research. These are the people that, are trustworthy. They are the experts in their field. And like I said, you don't have to hire them all. But you know what? You need that divorce attorney. How many individuals, they don't work with financial advisors? They try to fill out the affidavit all on their own. I did. And I'm paying for this right now, thousands of dollars, because I wanted to get it done quick. I didn't put any thought into it. That's what we do, right? We help you, we guide you through this affidavit negotiation, right? Business now, the divorce is now about the business. Your feelings, your emotions, I get it, right? Hey, he cheated, she cheated, all those different things, but you got to set that aside. If you don't have the tools how to deal with your feelings, with your emotion, how are you going to do it? You're going to listen to your friends, you're going to listen to your family members that have no clue, what they're doing. You're giving your decision away, your life away, for an attorney to make decisions on behalf of you, and he's dictating what life you will live, right? Why not take control of those decisions and you make those decisions, right? We sit down, we look at everything. Hey, if you get that much child support, if you get that much alimony, right? What are your bills? What are your expenses? monthly. Hey, you know what? Let's look at other person too as well. You don't have to emotionally and financially destroy them. You don't, right? Be nice, right? I know you're angry, you're upset, but you know what? Put yourself in the other person's situation. Put yourself in there, right? And see how will it feel if the two sides have flipped. Would it be nice? And then that's where they really realize, because you know what? Your life will continue. If kids are involved, you will see one another. How long can you live with this anger, with this hatred, with all this negativity inside? You're just harming, destroying yourself, your health. You think that you're doing this to other person. You are, but you know what? All this negative energy that you're putting out, it's all coming back to you. It's just a matter of time. So I tell my clients, put a mirror in front of yourself and go at it. Just be angry at her, be angry at everything else. Where is this going to? It's coming right back at you. You're doing this to yourself because that's what I was doing to myself. And that's when that switch flipped, like, wow, I actually, because I'm so angry at her, I'm so pissed off at her. I wasn't angry, right? That's what I was telling myself. But internally, I was angry. I was pissed off at myself because I didn't know how to deal with my feelings, with my emotions. And then once I understood, I'm like, wow, I stopped. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I accept now what has happened. I will forgive and I'll move on. It's a process. It's a journey. That's where we come in as well, right? Where we work on this with the client, because again, we have the knowledge, we have the tool. So there's just so many benefits, working with someone. It's so much easier, right? If you want to buy something or learn something, why do you hire a coach, right? A piano coach or a guitar coach, right? How long will it take you to learn on your own versus that coach? Okay, I'll invest those $300-$400, whatever it is. But you know what? Instead of taking me a year to learn how to make a guitar, I'm going to learn in 3 months.
Yes. So I get a lot. I mean, you I'm sure get as many people going, what is a divorce coach? So I had somebody say something, oh, you're like a wedding planner, only for divorce. So I kind of have chosen to use that. I am like a wedding planner, where they're everything wedding, from the cake to the venue. We're everything divorce, from the beginning past the end. The difference is the wedding planner is going to keep taking money from you, where we help you keep most of that money. And so I have a great story. Is I had this guy who hired me, and because he didn't want our sessions to start, he didn't want to use up the sessions, he waited until mediation day to meet with me for the first time. I'm like, okay, let me explain to you something. So I kind of explained to him that you can come to me with all of them attorney questions, because he had already hired the attorney, right? All of those attorney questions, I can either help you find the answers to them, or I can say, now this one question, which will take 20 minutes for the attorney to explain, this one you go. But oh no, they spent $1,700 on getting paperwork ready to go to court for an emergency hearing, all to get $30,000 that they needed right now to live. So that night they were going to go through mediation, and I did pre-mediation work with them. We got some ideas built up about the proposals, what he would accept and what he wouldn't accept. And I tell them, you have 5 things that you can do in mediation. You can say, yes, I agree. No, I do not. Then you offer your counter proposal. I need a break, or let me think on that for a while, or let's postpone this to the next meeting. Mm-hmm. So we got him all relaxed, got him ready for that. And it was in the evening that they went to this. And so I said, this is probably more of a meet and greet type of thing. And they went into the mediation. He called me right after. He says, oh my God, she offered me the $30,000 without me asking. Yeah. She offered to pay me back. And then he got mad. He says, I spent $1,700 preparing this paperwork with the attorney I never needed to spend. That's why you go to a divorce coach. So I'm sure you have that kind of story too. So you can go ahead with what you were going to say, and then I have another question for you.
No, I just had goosebumps, come through my whole body. when I hear such stories, because it's we are lifesavers as well. We are the different, you know how many times I got called that you are my angel, that you have helped me save my life. Just being there, just by listening to that individuals that don't have no one to talk to, that are embarrassed, that I can give them, hey, some tools, some steps. Let's do this. Let's work on that. Let's do it differently. And it makes so much difference. And that's why, every day when I wake up, it's, with a smile, because like I'm on a mission. I'm going to help save lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're getting ready to come to the end, but a really important question for me is, Marcin, what makes you different? Why would somebody choose you as their divorce coach?
Good question. I have worked with many coaches. I have learned different techniques, and I, approach things a little bit differently when I do my one-on-one or divorce coaching, because where I know that strength that I have, that within 30 days, I can help you transform your life, where you're gonna, even after one session. Like this one lady I work with, I'll share, she was in her 40s, and she always wanted to do something in her life. And in one session, I asked her certain questions, and she was able to rediscover her purpose, where she just got so emotional. She started, crying, and just like was so grateful and thankful, like, wow, this is what I want to do. And creating, that safe space, that you're not being judged, that you can be open, that you can be yourself. And then also too is, what's the difference with me is having, being a certified divorce coach, also having that certification for thinking into results, where I also help my clients, teaching with your conscious, subconscious mind, help you rewire your brain as well. There's just so much more. It's another level, where it's also too, it's simple, it's not complicated, because I have 5 pillars that I work with my clients too, on their journey, on their roadmap that we have for them. And it's just, that's what I am really proud of myself, that I can make so much impact. And also to my goal is to do webinars, do workshops, do retreats as well, throughout the whole world. I am building a divorce community here in Chicago. I have other business owners, entrepreneurs, very successful men and women that have gone through divorces that are part of my team as well, that we're building that community, where we do in-person events. The other event I did, I had a therapist, I had a divorce coach, I had a gratitude coach, and we talked about the pillars of healing, of rebuilding, rediscovering yourself, and reconnecting with our society. So I would say that. And you know what? I also too studied Louis Hayes, and I really love about, hey, love yourself, heal yourself too. And it's just, I use different, just from different coaches, different philosophies, different techniques, that I have seen that have worked on me, and I have, done with other clients. And, we're all different. We're all very special. We all have special gifts, talents, and potential within us. And to me, what I would advise, to the men, to the women that are looking for a divorce coach like Tina or myself, is Tina helping more on the front end, I'm helping more on the back end, that, is you are one decision away from changing your life, one decision away. Because you know what? Invest in yourself. If you really do, try it, right? Don't have any resentment. Don't have any regrets. Yeah, you might not have that time. You might not have money. Work with us, right? Call us. Let us know what your situation is. I'm very open. I'm very understanding, right? I'll even coach you for free, because what matters to me is helping you heal, helping you rebuild yourself, helping you love yourself, and live the life that you deserve to live. Because you will see, your second marriage, your second relationship, I'll help you rebuild your self-image, that you never knew that you have those gifts, talents, potential within you. Give it a try. That's all it costs you.
Yes, I think it's way worth that. And so as we close, one of the biggest questions I always ask is, what last minute advice do you have? So Joe, what kind of last minute advice do you have?
So last minute advice on this is get professional help. and it's important to go to your friends, family, and that kind of stuff, but don't rely on them for professional advice, because normally they're emotionally charged. So they're probably going to ramp you up and then maybe send you down a rabbit hole that you shouldn't be going down. So it's so much better to have someone that is a professional trained, and then you can have both. You can have your family, friends that rely on the professionals for real help.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Marcin, what's your last bit of advice?
My bit, if you know what, yesterday I was on a Zoom, we did a Facebook Live, and very similar question. And I did ask myself this question, let's say, what would I tell myself 4 years, my younger version 4 years ago when I was go through it? First thing, you know what, I'm like, what is the biggest impact that would make impact on my, I'm like, hire a coach or a mentor, right?
Amen.
Surround yourself with good, positive people. Get rid of them. Start reading books, start investing in yourself, figure out what I want, what is my goal, what I want to learn, where am I going, where I got to surround myself. It's going to change your life. You will see. It's just like they say, you know this. Change your thinking, change your life. It's simple, but it's so powerful. You do it, you surround yourself with the right person, that will get you to the next level. The level that you didn't even think that you have it within you. It's just my advice. And then we'll go from there.
Well, amen. So just before I close, you happened to mention a book that we talked about earlier today, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So it's like I had just mentioned it to my aunt who's visiting. I said, you know, all of us coaches read that at least one time during our time. And then what? We have a coach that talks about Think and Grow Rich. So I just had to throw that out there. So I want to remind that all of our viewers, if you are in an abusive situation right here, right now, here in the US, call 911. If you're in the UK, it's 999. Get the police officers there now. And as Joe always says, once you place charges against the person attacking you, when you press those charges, don't take those charges off. Follow through, get out of that relationship. If you are in a domestic violence situation and you need help, you need to talk through that. Call the domestic violence hotline at 800-799-7233. That number again is 1-800-799-7233. To reach me, you can reach me by my email at coachtinalyn@gmail.com. That is CoachTinaLynn@gmail.com. My website is divorcecoachspecialist.com. Again, that is divorcecoachspecialist.com, and you can reach Joe and I through there as well. Marcin, what's your contact information?
Cell phone number is 773-805-6861. My website is Coach Marcin. It's Coach Marcin, MARCIN.com. I am on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can look me up under Marcin Lapczynski. And also, too, I want to tell you that, you know what? You are not alone. You are worthy. You are loved. You know what? We are here for you, Tina, There's so much support out there. Ask for help. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you are strong, that you do care about yourself, that you love yourself. Don't beat yourself up. You know what? Look in the mirror. Look in your mirror and say that, hey, I am worthy. I am deserving of this. Let me just try it. Let me just try it. Let me just see. And then, you know what? Don't run away from your fear. Don't run away, because you never will know, you know what is something on the other side, you know, outside your comfort zone. Do that for yourself, right? You want to help your children, right? Where you don't have to work 2 jobs. You don't have to be emotionally overwhelmed. You don't have to reach out to us. We are here for you. We want to help you, and we will help you. We will support you. We have such a big support team. If we don't have the tools, we know someone that does. So thank you.
Very good. And thank you for joining us this evening, Marcin.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate you, what you guys are doing, who you guys are, and how many people you're impacting, you know, globally.
Well, thank you. And thanks to you viewers for joining us. And if this has been helpful, please like and follow our channel. Thank you.